Shara here. For my very first video after my announcement, I decided to do something I've thought of doing for a while now. And that is going over how I created my persona. I'm probably gonna regret this, but cringe stops for no one, and I'm not afraid to laugh at myself. So on to the cringe. So, let's start at the very beginning. Back in 2015, when I was in middle school, there was a game that released by the name of Undertale. When I was younger, I was obsessed with Undertale. Like to the point where when I was talking to my friend about Undertale and she didn't know what it was, I apparently, according to her, made an expression that looked like she just shot someone in front of me. Joke's on her though, I dragged her into the fandom by force. Aren't you glad you're my friend? Anyway, I was deep in the Undertale fandom. I watched comic dubs, animations, fan series, and was obsessed with AUs. I participated in my fair share of Sancest, and even really liked some, unfortunately, problematic comic creators. If you know, you know. I'm telling you this to give you some context behind Shara Dreamer, because she was originally my Undertale OC, and she looked very differently from how she does now. So let's look at her handful of redesigns and how she split from her Undertale self. Shara Dreamer was originally Shara Dreamer, pronounced Sarah Dreamer, since I wanted to be different. Ugh. Her backstory is interesting and kind of lackluster and disjointed, so I'll be going over what I can remember, what changed, drawing her and critiquing her design while redrawing her as well, with how I would change the design currently. These are in no way professional tips or critiques because I am far from a professional artist. These are just some of the things that I would personally do differently now. So, Shara, as I will be calling her, started as a human child that was adopted by the Dreamer family a la Kara. I think she lived with Toriel in the ruins and then left to Snowdin, where she was sort of adopted into the Skelebros family. I think this was her first backstory, but it later changed to her always being a member of the Skeleton family. But with some of the art that I made in the past, she bounced between being Sans' sister, daughter, or dating him. Not at the same time, obviously. I had a little obsession with Sans, if you can't tell. Now that's her basic family structure, but let's get on to her features and some of the other common tropes that plagued my poor traumatized OC. Now, she was commonly drawn as having light pink hair, though sometimes it was a darker shade, and was light blue at some point, for some reason. Her eyes were typically a dark blue to light blue gradient, though sometimes it would be shown as light blue and red, or sometimes just red. Her clothes consisted of a light green and yellow striped shirt with short sleeves, typically one off the shoulder, bright red gloves, dark purple pants, and black boots. Now, the reason why her eyes tended to switch from blue to red was because one of the most common tropes I had this girl going through was being possessed by Kara and forced to commit the genocide route, killing her friends and family. She also had these black eyes and claw-like arms that I'm like 90% sure I stole from Skulu Loves Sans' animation memes. I'm laughing because it hurts. Now, if you can't tell, I was a very edgy and angsty kid trying to be badass, but God, I must have been insufferable. Now, talking about her design, I don't even know how to touch on all of her backstory. For starters, get this poor girl some proper clothes, because my God, she's a human in Snowdin. She's gonna freeze to death. So for this redesign, I tried to keep the color similar to the original. Except the purple pants. There was no saving them. I changed her sweater to being fully light yellow. Her jacket took the green, but I made it a bit more of a bluish green while adding some white sleeves and a hood. The sleeves almost trying to mimic Toriel to keep the Dreamer part of her name. I also lightened the red gloves to a more pastel color, but I kept the eyes the same. I added a heart locket that I had her wearing a few times in the past, and I pushed her hair back, pinning it with a bone-shaped hair clip to pay some homage to her skeleton family. I also lined the hair and added a light blue hair stripe. I'm really proud of it, and I think she looks cute. This isn't the only version of Undertale, Shara. No, this is just the beginning. Let's move on to the next one. I honestly can't remember much about this version, because I really only drew her and didn't do anything with her. I think this was when she was starting to get away from being Sarah and became more Shara, since I think this technically was the first version of my Underfell OC. All I can remember is that she was a lot meaner, and she was older than the pink-haired version of Shara. This was when I was fully in my Sans fangirl phase. Ugh. Where I now fully shipped her with Sans. Not just one of them, because this is when I really got into AUs as well. The most common from what I saw was Error, Classic, and Fell. Maybe a few blueberries spread in between there, I don't know. And it was Pyrus for a little bit. Only it was just one art with Undertale and another time with Underfell. Not that I blame young me on Papyrus, because I still really like him as a character. Not in that way, though. I also started getting obsessed with Gaster. This will come into play later. As I said, I can't remember much, but I remember this version of her was a lot meaner, as I said before. She was mostly aggressive and gave off this attitude of, I don't care about anyone or anything, but she was super sweet and kind when you got to know her, guys. Ugh. Oh god, I do remember one incident where one of my friends asked to see her, and I printed out a whole page of art of her for him to look at that used crappy bases and MS Paint because I thought it looked good back then. I wasted my family's printer ink on this monstrosity. Why was I like this? But questionable young pride aside, her design had her having dark magenta hair, a dark blue jacket, but not that dark, hot and light pink striped shirt, dark red pants, though sometimes they were gray, I think, and her boots changed between being black or gray. Sometimes she didn't have a jacket, and sometimes she had a red scarf like Papyrus, maybe even gloves sometimes. Now, I'm hesitant to bring up her eye color because, dear lord, this girl did not have a consistent eye color. It was mostly light blue, but sometimes it was gray, sometimes it was brown, sometimes they were red and orange, or purple and blue, sometimes just regular orange. By God, just pick a color and stick with it! Now, let's focus on her main design. The main issues that I have with this is the colors, like before. They're so saturated and they're clashing quite a bit. Her clothes I don't have that much of a problem with. She's at least more prepared than her original counterparts. Now I went in on this design, and I really like it. Maybe I'll bring her back as her own character. For this one, I stuck with her roots of me shipping her with multiple different Sans I use and thought, what if I made her some kind of multiverse hopper like I am now? And that's what I did. I changed a lot about her, giving her some sort of armor under her jacket with a gemstone powering it that's in the shape of the necklace I wear now. I also gave her old hair color back in the form of a gradient, and I gave her purple and blue eyes again, but separated them with the light blue. Hey, these kind of look familiar. For the third rendition of Shara, I actually don't have any pictures of her outside of one group image I have. She's almost like the forgotten middle child of the group because there isn't much on her either. From the fuzzy memories I can conjure up and what I can infer from the one image I have on her, is this was when I was fully obsessed with Gaster, and this version of Shara was his wife, who fought with him in the human-monster war. I believe she was a lot more shy and quiet and took care of the skeleton brothers after Gaster went missing. Her design was similar to the second version of Shara, except she didn't have as many eye color changes considering there's only one picture of her. She did have the dark hair, but it was a darker magenta than the one that Gen 2 Shara had. She had dark blue eyes, or black, it's kind of hard to tell, and the one that's uncovered has a line down her face similar to Gaster, and the other one's covered with what's supposed to be a bandage. She had more dusty colors, with a dark gray jacket and dusty green shirt, with brown pants and boots. I didn't change a lot about her actually, since I did actually like it. I gave her longer hair and a longer coat and some gloves, but all the colors remained the same except for minor alterations to the sweater. I did take a trait from one of my friend's OCs, Emerald, and also my OC, Skylar, where half of her face, kind of, is now more skeletal. Not all the designs of Shara really saw the light of day, but I still want to talk about them. Who are you? No, seriously, who are you? Who are all of you? Who are you, child? You're all cute, but who are you? Especially the light purple-haired one. She shows up a few times, even in an art with the second version of Shara, but I can't remember anything on these people! An interesting thing I just noticed while editing this video was that with this art of Gen 2 Shara that involved Caster, given that this version of Shara was mostly dating Sans, no wonder she looked disturbed in this art. Because she's around Sans' age, obviously, so not only is this man old enough to be her dad, but also she was commonly shipped with Classic, meaning, sir, this is your son's girlfriend. Back I say! But there you have it. The long history of Shara and how she turned into the blue gradient having multiverse hopping gemstone holder that you all know her as today. Now currently, Shara has her own lore that I could talk about in a video all on its own. Maybe I'll make a video on her and crew in the future. But I hope you all enjoyed me rambling about my persona, and if you want to see more stories and art content from me, then please feel free to like and subscribe, and I hope to see you all again. Bye!